Camera. Okay, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here for the study session, the last one of February. 22222.
I've already brought that up. 2222. They're all twos.
Well, you have to wait about, what, 200 years to get all
I
twos.
told my kids on the bus that they just looked at you like some idiot. What do you mean?
Adam?
I have nothing new to report if you guys know anything from me.
Appreciate you being
So you've been
here.
doing nothing since the last meeting? Is that
A
what?
whole lot of nothing.
Hadn't been by my house for a while.
Medic 1, our new truck that we've been waiting, has been out of service for a while. Finally got the eternally backordered parts in, so hopefully it's in the shop now, so within the next couple weeks that should be back on the road, but we've still got 3 fully operational trucks on the road right now. But it won't be a cheap bill, but at least it'll be back on the road.
Fortunately, the hospital's got a lot of money.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about the solar? So if Wyatt needs to take off, he can for the whole meeting.
That'd be great.
All right, so
You bet.
go ahead.
So I've given you all your homework.
Yes,
And,
Mother.
so this is the current solar draft, and it's now been to Farm Bureau twice, as well as to our own state's attorney's office. I thoroughly appreciate all of the input, suggestions, clarifications, tightening it up. Each time it's been reviewed, something new has been pointed out, or I've discovered something new. So this is just a little different than what you received the last time. But what I really want to go through and take a look at, I've made some of the changes that Farm Bureau had recommended, and others I felt like we needed to discuss. And if you go to page 2, and what I think we need to discuss is all in red, make it easier for us. So this is a somewhat of a philosophical conversation. Are we going to go with primary structure or property line? And so for definition of primary structure, I have that listed. And this is no different than what we have in our wind ordinance. So if we chose primary structure, that then is the same language and the same principle philosophy as what we have on the wind ordinance. But to go with that, then we need to look at page 4H, setbacks, because this is why it's important that we have the discussion about whether we are basing our distance from a primary structure or property line. So this is what I have on setbacks. This doesn't mean that we can't have discussion and change it either. So a minimum setback of 50 feet must be maintained on all property lines. So that's regardless of whether it's 2 fields or a field and a pasture, or those are the 2 I can think of. Solar panels will be kept at least 500 feet from a property line or a right-of-way that is not part of the special use. And that's, we need to really discuss that sentence. This requirement may be waived provided the solar farm's owner or lessee obtains and records with the Edgar County Clerk and Recorder signed and notarized affidavits agreeing that the need for a special use permit be waived from all property owners adjoining the lot which it's located. However, in no instance shall any part of the solar farm be located within 50 feet of the aforementioned items. Now, that was not my language. I took that from somewhere else.
Now, your committee wanted to use primary structures, correct?
Yes, they did.
So that's not how it's written in here then.
Right. And that's why we need to absolutely have conversation, especially about this line.
Right.
So,
I just want to make sure everybody knew that the committee was recommending primary structures, not
Right.
property lines.
I guess I'm a little confused. It says the minimum setback of 50 feet, those, I don't have my glasses, must be maintained on all property lines. So if I have property and I have a fence here, is it gonna be 50 feet or 500 feet?
Yeah, I was going,
50,
Same thing.
it depends on how we go with this.
so what's the 500 feet then?
It depends on how we go with this. Are we saying, for example, are we saying if I want the farm and I border Carl's pasture, that I have to stay 500 feet from it, or that I have to stay 50
Yeah,
feet
sure.
from it? And if I want a farm and I am bordering Carl's house, do I have to stay 500 feet from his house or 500 feet from the property line, which would be his yard, for example?
Okay, so this will need to be changed and definitely
It-
50 or
If you
500.
decide to go with
It
this.
depends on what we're gonna do.
Okay, so it may be changed.
This-
Well,
this
no,
may be
we're gonna
changed. This is
decide
only a
this morning.
draft.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
Mhm.
And what's gonna go in it.
Okay.
I mean, we're not
Right.
gonna pass it, but we need to get this on display online so people can look at it,
Okay.
okay?
Right.
So it potentially could be 50 feet from my house.
Could,
Yes, it
We
could,
don't-
if you agree. It's
Yeah.
Oh.
only if you agree.
Okay,
And your agreement will be recorded with Augie's office.
okay. All right. But if I don't agree, then 500 is the closest it can be.
To your house or to your property line, depending on which definition we
Okay.
use.
All right.
That's the key, is whether we wanna go primary structure or property
so your property line could be 1,000 feet from your house, right?
Could-
line. Or 2,000.
Yeah, okay, correct. Okay,
So we need to know, the committee's recommending property primary structure.
I agree.
Okay, primary structure,
Well, that's what I
yeah, I
don't
think so
know.
too.
primary structure?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that's,
Then
then
H
that's
is
where we're
what
gonna go.
needs to change.
No, I
Yeah,
agree,
would
I'm
agree.
just,
Yeah.
but we wanted to have, I
Right.
mean, we don't wanna walk into this
Right.
and then, well, I didn't know anything about that.
Right.
Okay, because that could be a bone of contention, and we may hear from people in the next couple weeks, once we get this online, that may have some valid points that we
500
may
feet,
have
that
to
fits like
adjust.
150
Yeah,
yards,
the
so.
Wind farm, nobody said anything, and then the last,
Yeah,
it blew up.
we just wanna
Football.
walk through this carefully.
500 feet was the,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Other changes, or other things we should
Okay.
talk about.
On page 3,
Page 3, guys and gal.
this was what Farm Bureau had brought up, and the insecticide and herbicide line in B. And I will share with you Farm Bureau's statement. The sentence starting with insecticide and ending with public health and safety, we thought should be removed as it could become overbearing in the future for landowners.
Do you wanna explain your position?
Following Farm Bureau policy, we kind of like to have the ability to do with our land as we choose. And if you're putting requirements on insecticide and herbicide, then you're like, it's kind of not infringing on landowner rights, but it definitely doesn't help.
And they're still required to only use certain,
Right.
there's a law governing what they can use,
Right.
correct?
Right.
All right,
And so that's why it kind of seemed redundant to have in there.
Okay.
so what are you okay with the position that we should really be telling them that as long as they're following state and federal guidelines, they're good, right?
Yep.
But here is, and this language I took from another county.
Well, that was-
And here is the, yeah, it does.
No,
Here is the other part to that. It's saying that insecticide and herbicide use is limited to spot control of noxious weeds. And I agree, it seems a little redundant. What their fear was that somebody would go in and use non-selective herbicide. And it
Well,
does
that would
cause a
be-
problem with erosion.
Right, and that would be a state issue, and they would find that out.
That's prohibited
Okay.
by the state.
Yeah. State would know pretty quick if there's an issue.
I mean, if they go with something that's gonna make it like
Sterilize it,
sterilized, yeah.
like Triax,
Yeah.
or Triax.
And I
That's
understand the
not-
long-term concern, once
Right.
it returns to the landowner.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Should be an explanation of what noxious weeds are, or
That
wasn't
Um,
necessary.
That's the
It's-
word.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, um, all right, I'm not sure why I have foundations highlighted anymore. I think that was from an earlier, when I was researching more.
It's better to have it done than not need it.
Yeah, I think we're okay with that. I was researching some more. Okay, H on page 4 is what we've discussed. I want to make sure, this is probably to the public, this and decommissioning are the two most important parts of this. So read H again with the fact that it's going to say primary structure and not property line to make sure we all understand what this says. Now, I will tell you that our committee was not 100% in agreement on the 50 feet line.
Yeah, it was 2 to 1, right?
It was 2 to 1.
It's kind of confusing to me. Maybe
What
just
is-
me.
Well, go ahead, I'm not gonna go.
One of our committee members felt that 20 feet was adequate. What I had researched, most ordinances say 50.
I'm fine with 50, and I think they're fine with 50.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We appreciate you telling us, but
Okay.
50 feet is not that much, and most setbacks, even that the county uses, are 50 feet or more.
So if you're gonna put it on my property, it has to be 50 feet from the property line, minimum. That's what
Right,
this
and
says.
from what I have seen of the ones that I have gone and looked at, their fence is directly around their solar field, and the 50 is what they use for their road, their path, and then they keep that maintained.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to my concern also on fire. I'm just a fire freak, I guess.
Well,
Okay.
you've had to deal with it,
I am.
okay? So what,
So I am comfortable, if you all are, with H, the only change being that it's at least 500 feet from a primary structure.
yes.
Okay.
Is everybody good with that? And the 50 feet is fine? Because I think 20 feet, my gosh, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
And you don't, what you represent doesn't have any trouble with 50.
Right, no, they said that the 500 feet would be really hard to do. I mean, 500 feet's a long ways. And they were concerned that that could be infringing on owners' rights to do with the land as they choose if you have such a huge setback.
Yeah, especially if you only got like a 40-acre field. Yeah, that cuts a lot of it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Page 5, number 2, the last line. What Farm Bureau had stated, Farm Bureau's recommendation was, we recommend having a minimum of 4 weeks for notification of disruption and include affected landowners in case there are shared tile lines. So I had added, and all affected landowners. I had not changed the 2 from the 2 weeks prior to disruption.
And I can talk to that if
Okay.
we just thought that 4 weeks gives more headway in case, you know, planting's coming up, and if you're gonna disrupt the tile, and you wanna plant, and you get a bunch of rain coming, you're gonna be replanted before you can turn around.
And I'm not opposed to that at all either.
And then, yeah, just kind of notifying all landowners if it's like a joint tile that passes through multiple fields. You want to notify landowners further down if there's a
Right.
shared tile. That way, they don't plant or go out to combine and it's full of water.
And especially where there's a drainage district, that can be a lot of landowners.
Yes.
Two is in a whole lot.
No, it isn't.
I agree.
Okay,
So what was the end result of, did you decide on that?
4
4 weeks, okay.
The use of public roads, again, this is pretty similar to what we have in the wind ordinance. And as Jeff has said before, that there will be a separate agreement on roads. So we didn't need to get into the weeds on that. I did stick in the coordination with local fire department. It actually is local fire department and ECNA. Another thing down here, I didn't highlight it because I didn't think was really, I thoroughly understand. Jeff and I talked about at the bottom of page 8, fencing requirement. Farm Bureau had suggested a minimum fence height and then a maximum if we chose. And so Jeff was sharing with me that at the airport, it's a 6 foot. So we just said a minimum of 6, a maximum of 8.
And then we,
Right.
you know.
You have a standard for them to follow.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to build a 2-foot
And that'll
fence now.
help with wildlife and issues like that, so.
The other is on page 9, on liability insurance and indemnification. Farm Bureau had suggested, is there any reason why the self-insurer line, which is in the middle of it, is there, as all these companies will have insurance already? Does it hurt to leave it in?
He didn't think it mattered. He was just more curious on why that would be in there because, I mean, these companies are worth God knows how much money. They're going to have insurance for it, so.
Well, and I guess I don't worry about it now, but my question was if it doesn't hurt to leave it in there. And again, I didn't create this language on my own,
Right.
And our legal team didn't.
and our legal team didn't have an issue with it. Okay. Decommissioning, I will tell you that Farm Bureau had suggested on page 10, maybe it's page 9 now. Oh, it's actually, with the format changes, it's page 9A. I just say that, on that first paragraph, financial assurance shall be secured by the owner or operator for the purpose of adequately performing decommissioning in an amount equal to 100% of the professional engineer's certified estimate of the decommissioning, not including salvage value.
That's good.
Farm Bureau had suggested the salvage value.
The reasoning for that was that if they account for salvage value, case scenario, if it does go by the wayside, that's just less money you're going to get rid of the thing.
Yes. And they may, that gives them an opportunity to inflate that and then
Right.
put less money in.
Right.
So that made
Exactly right.
sense. So,
They shouldn't get credit for that
Inch.
at this point.
No.
Going back to insurance, like, if you have a major hailstorm or something, are those, I mean, aren't there heavy metals and things in those?
There are some, yes.
So I guess does that insurance, that we're talking about liability insurance?
I can't speak to that. I know that I have on my 54, I have special insurance that covers the advent of a hailstorm or some kind of
Tornado or
damage,
something?
yes,
Okay,
and cleanup. That's a big deal.
yeah, I think it would be.
But I don't know how you could mitigate that totally. I mean, if you've got driving rain and you get a tornado through there and it rips through there and the stuff's laying on the ground. I don't.
And that's my biggest nightmare, of
I mean,
course.
I'm just, but, I mean, the units are rated very high, but who knows?
Yeah, okay.
And what's important on the second paragraph is it says they can't hold us liable.
Do we have any comments on that, Wyatt?
Well, by the time we get this in place and, 2-3 years down the road, these things will probably be more efficient and we'll have to look at it then down the road to update it. So this is a good starting spot, I think.
Good point, cause like I put in 48 and then put in 6 more, and they're so much more efficient
Right.
than the first 48, it's
Right.
nuts.
And it's
Amazing.
same with wind. We'll have to
Yeah.
circle back on that every, we just have to
I
put it
don't
on
want
the
to circle back
calendar.
on it now, but right, we'll continue to have to look at this.
And I'm sure, Farm Bureau is aware where there are issues throughout the state, I mean, I'm sure they.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure they put bulletins out like we get from our state organizations. And then you can make the, I mean, it's not your responsibility, but we ask that you make us aware of any shortcomings or anything
Yeah,
that might affect our policies.
Absolutely. I can tell you there's supposedly a 15,000 acre one going in Sangamon County. That is quite the hot topic over there. So
Meaning,
15,000?
15,000 acres.
that's a
So,
lot of
1,500.
property to take out of production.
yeah.
Could happen here.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy to
I'm
help get
told
this
by
on
a
the
couple
books.
of attorneys that they're waiting for us,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so. Anything else?
No, so,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so please, if you can get a chance, read through this quickly. Because and I know that's big homework.
Carl,
Because
careful your time.
I would, yeah. I would like to get this to Augie pronto. What time frame do you want me to have for a deadline for you to look at this? Because if
I
we
would
have
say
any
by the end of
questions.
the week, is
Okay.
that possible? And then we can get it to Augie on Monday and get it online, the first of the week. That would give it, let's see, 9, 5, hell, that's only 12 days, that's not even
Yes.
2 weeks. The only other option would be to move it to a special meeting, later on, but I think maybe 12 days will work, we'll see.
Surely we can look at it in a couple days, and if there's no objections, then get it doggy, and,
Well, maybe we can get it in by Friday.
yeah.
You could go ahead and make the changes and get the final, draft ready and get it to Augie, and then all we have to do is go, there are no changes, go ahead and print. I mean, you know what.
If there any company want to come in, put a wind farm and everything, any company interested in putting a wind farm,
I haven't heard anything. In fact, they've withdrawn from some counties around us.
But there's one going in that pretty likely just north of our house,
Oh,
on the
is that right?
Vermillion
I
side.
thought they,
Vermillion, Illinois.
oh,
okay.
see, they've got a relatively less,
Yes, they
I don't
do.
wanna say loose ordinance, cause that's not the correct way.
Their setbacks are very,
What is it,
Small.
1400?
3 times tip height.
Oh, okay, so that would be, yeah,
So right now, they're trying to sign up all the neighbors, but my friend who's on the county board up there said they haven't gotten anything official yet, because they're not to that stage.
I had a phone call the other day from a concerned person that wanted to know if we could, in our ordinance, put something in there about tied to land productivity.
Ooh,
And I said, well, probably the state law doesn't allow us to do that. And, he was just concerned that, over Kansas, all the good ground being utilized, and you've got poor ground in Edgar County, CRP, ground that's,
but again, that boils down to us telling the landowner what he can do or not do.
Yeah.
We're not zoned.
right, and we were talking about right across the state line, all that land, coal mine ground, that's, a lot of it's worthless, basically.
I mean, you have
Yeah,
the
that-
farmland assessment law, which is
Mhm.
kind of the productivity index free of
Right.
taxes, so,
Right,
but landowner rights, I don't.
yeah, I said, I don't think that's something we could do, probably. But he said, I said, it makes sense that you put it on poor ground, but,
Yeah, I don't think anybody argues with that philosophically.
right,
No,
but I don't, legally, I don't think we can do that, probably.
and if a farmer economically can do the math,
Right,
I mean,
yeah. I just wanted to bring that up, I told him I'd bring it up.
are we good then? Thank you so much for your hard work.
Depends on poor ground, how do you say poor ground?
Well,
There's always a use for ground.
Well, we're not
But-
saying it.
The
We're not
API,
saying-
Right.
No, I-
yeah, I
Right,
mean,
well,
no,
because it goes back to the farmland index.
productivity index, which
Okay.
rates the
This
soil
one-
from,
but yeah, poor ground, pasture ground, for wildlife, I mean, all ground's worth something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But if
But-
it's rolling, you probably can't do it.
Right, if it's too rolling,
Yeah, I
right,
mean,
Yeah,
and
right,
it's not
right.
being used, even if it is poor ground, I mean, you have limits.
Right.
that's why they're here, it's flat, fertile,
It's easy.
easy, yeah, you don't have to move much dirt.
mhm.
Andy,
I got, they're working at the jail upstairs. I called, when we went, you were there, and we went out and saw the guys, they were putting in lights and it was cold up there, and I said, well, turn on the heaters. And they hadn't been turned on in a while, so I called Fresh Refrigeration, told them to go
make sure it's safe.
make sure it's safe. And so they got the one going, they said they had to replace a valve on the other one.
Great.
I said, they got one of the radiators. Okay.
You good?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, I thanked her and I didn't thank you and Farm Bureau for everything on both issues that you've been most helpful with. and I
Absolutely.
appreciate
I
it.
apologize it wasn't a little quicker, but like I said, 100 and some counties and
She's
every,
calling me last night at 7:30.
yeah. As soon as I had it, I
Had to get you up,
flipped it to her.
yeah.
Anyway, woke me up from my nap before I go to bed.
I feel
Why,
that.
take care.
Thank you. If you need
Thanks.
anything else, let me know.
We will, we'll get you
Will do.
a final. Sorry, man.
That's okay. And I told them also, they got the radiators up there, so they turned one on, they said that one would work, the other, and the drain back valve is bad. And they can't turn it on, and that's one of those things you're gonna have to wait till you shut the system down and fix it. And I said, well, we'll fix that this summer then, when we shut it off, but, so they're supposed, they got the one running, they're gonna get the other one running, so they'll have heat up there. Might as well get ahead of it.
What's the minimum heat that it has to be? What's the minimum temperature? Is there a minimum? Like you can't put people in here if it's under 60 degrees.
I don't think, just whatever's adequate. I know, there's nothing specific that I remember in the jail standards, just what's,
It's pretty cold in my house.
And we've never been written up for temperature that I'm aware
My
of.
son's 65,
no.
give him an extra blanket.
I would like to just reiterate, we've got with Sycamore, we've got a 39,000 roughly emergency contract that is signed, but we deemed it an emergency because of where we're at and we're overextended on our beds.
Pushing the limit,
So we're,
all the stuff.
yeah, so, and the state's fine, and of course, our insurance company is fine, just to reiterate that they're, because of how we've done in the last year and a half or two, they said, we feel confident that you guys will get it done correctly.
So how far are we from utilization?
The thing that's gonna hold us back is gonna be the plumbing.
Those special valves.
The special valves, they're made to order. They don't keep those in stock anywhere. So once we decided to do this, it was a 6-week turnaround before it's complete.
But the thought was that maybe we could have asked them to look for a like, but if we have them all the same,
And you got,
then we don't have to worry about inconsistencies in what we're doing.
And it was probably gonna take you 6 weeks to get the whole project done anyway, right?
everything's backward, it seems like anyway. So, yeah, it's gonna take that long. That's gonna be the last thing they're gonna do then. So they're up there wiring now, putting lights in, then they're gonna have to paint it.
Right,
And
and
so-
we already have the paint,
And we gotta
and we're
paint-
gonna do that pretty much, well, we're gonna do that ourselves,
Yeah.
so.
What'd they decide to do on the shower?
They're,
Are they gonna do it, Larry?
yeah, they're gonna do it. That's it. That's part of the contract, and
Okay.
it said what they were gonna do. I think they're gonna pour concrete.
Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Carl, if you
Yeah.
want the contract, I can send it to you.
I didn't,
But they are gonna fix it and get it going.
yeah, okay.
And then on water,
Water, we got since we put the boiler system in, at the time we talked about putting a water softener in so we don't have problems with it. And we got a company, Jeff and I went up the other day and talked with plumber
yeah.
and a guy.
Rodney and Lance Davis from up north, he's the one that supplies to the plumbers around here, and he's opened up a company, and it's gonna be $1,600 to drop everything in there. And we opted not to go, well, you go.
We opted not to go with the entire building. That would be, that'd require a commercial system.
It'd be
Pretty
15 to
pricey.
20.
Like he said, it'd be over 10 grand for the system, at least. And I don't know, given the longevity of what we plan on using that building, if we can get by.
The other issue, guys, is that if you put this system on the water, because of the type of old piping and so forth, and the scale and stuff in it, it would probably wreak havoc with the facility for years to come, because it'd knock all that stuff loose.
While that breaks loose.
Jeff had mentioned, I heard indirectly from Rodney, that Jeff would have preferred to go with the larger system, but I think he explained that all out to him. But be that as it may, he was gonna start today, so hopefully he's down there.
Gotta start putting that
But
in.
he hasn't let me know, so maybe he had to order, cause I asked him to let us know before he went down there so I could warn Jay and Derek and Jeff, okay?
I'll think of something here in a minute.
Well, we can always circle back.
Okay.
You know,
Sorry,
when you guys were in there, did they indicate how many inmates we had?
40.
40.
How many
That
women?
was in the last week.
That was at the end of the week. We were there, what, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday,
Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday,
Wednesday.
Carl.
How many women they have?
I don't-
He said, but I can't remember. I think there was 2 or 3 there at the time.
4.
Are
Or
they
maybe-
still on down there in the new part on that one side, tying up that whole side?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is the advantage of getting that fixed up there.
Right.
You can utilize that for.
Any other questions? We're getting closer to the project, the roof project, moving the infrastructure down and replacing some of that with more efficient. We hit a snag where they didn't like one of our contractors, so we had to switch them out. And we're trying to get clarification. The contract's gonna drop from 434 at least to around 425, but we'll see how that works out. We're still a few weeks away from wanting to start that anyway.
434, 425, what?
434,000.
Oh,
Down
I'm sorry.
oh,
The other thing
I
is,
see.
do you wanna tell them about that, or do you want me to tell them about the coroner's deal?
to, go ahead.
There was Herb Pinkston came out to check, because they started construction, which you see. And there was a few things that didn't match the drawings on the roof system, and they're getting those changed. It shouldn't be a big deal. I talked to our engineer, and he said they're not major structural things, it's just a couple of sticks, as they said, that need to be yellow pine instead of something, I don't know, so. At any rate, it shouldn't be a big deal. I let Scott know that the building was going up, so. At any rate, so that's where we are on that. Danny boy?
I talked to Andrew yesterday. She said everything's going well at the shelter. I think the cameras are working
Right.
and the computers and so forth, so she said everything worked.
I talked to her too, she seems happy as a clam,
Yes, she did.
so,
Happy woman.
well, I mean, I'm assuming Linda is too,
Nothing
I'm sure if
sexist about that.
Andrea is happy, it's a lot easier on Linda.
A lot easier on all of us.
Happy wife for him.
Yeah,
Is the
definitely.
population down at all?
She didn't say, so, I know last time they had 26 dogs, didn't it?
Basically, you just
Had they produced a number in it?
you're smart.
I saw Linda Saturday, but I didn't ask her about it.
They had one in the paper Saturday too, to adopt, I can't remember his name, but a picture of him. Yep, if you're interested in dog.
Any questions?
My cat population has decreased on human streets, I'm a little concerned about that. So. Down from 12 down to about 8.
You can only do what you
I
can
know,
do.
I agree. Somebody threw out some bagels the other day, cats don't eat bagels. You know, I had to
Unless
clean
they're
up the mess.
soaked in fish oil.
But
That's what we used to do.
the cats won't guarantee you that. That was stupid, somebody was.
While we're coming down that side, Augie, do you have some things that you would like to discuss?
Not that I'm aware of at this point.
No, I'm not baiting you.
All right.
I just didn't
For a
want to
change,
forget
that's
you.
nice.
Okay?
Thank you for including me. No, I don't. We're the clock's ticking on petition filing date, which is March 7th through the 14th. But other than that, it's quiet.
Didn't we have some issues on polling places as far as locations? Have you resolved that yet?
Yep, thank you, Carl. Casey Hall.
Yeah.
I spoke with
Yeah.
Maddie,
All right,
and we're all good. She's gonna let us use the, well, it's the east end.
back in,
Yeah, the smaller end, which is where we used to always have it until COVID. Then we were able to go out into the big banquet hall, which was really nice.
mhm.
But obviously we can't use that now. But so she talked like it's great this year. Let's do it and see how we get along, and then we can talk later.
Yeah. Was there any other polling place issues that we had to move or anything?
No,
Everything's good?
no, everything's good.
Just that one?
Yep.
Are you, like, Crispin, are you still in the school?
No, we're in a Nazarene church.
Okay,
Which actually is a better place,
yeah.
I think.
So are you in any schools now?
Memorial.
Oh, so you're still in school?
Yeah, still
Okay.
Memorial.
Didn't they complain once about that or something?
Well,
wanted it
they
out?
did, but they haven't,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not been a formal complaint.
yeah, right,
It just,
yeah. So that's the only school you're in?
that's the only school,
Well,
yeah.
there's no good place in that area, right? to have
Yeah, that's not
one place.
ideal parking around there anyway, but,
Mm-hmm,
just a matter of finding another location, I guess, but
mm-hmm.
that hasn't been a topic.
Yeah, okay.
There's a church on, is it on the other side of Jasper Street? On the south side, if you ever have to have a polling place? What's the name of the church?
Are you talking about across the tracks?
No, across Jasper Street, about straight across, there's a church about 2 blocks up. Nobody knows about that church?
The one next
Oh,
to Wendy's.
I was saying that
That
would be,
belongs to the hospital down. The hospital
Oh,
bought that.
Cornerstone Baptist.
Okay.
just,
Or- You mean that you're not talking about church off of, just south of Jasper on, like Shaw?
yeah, right.
Well, that would be the Nazarene Church.
Nazarene?
Yeah, and to say if you ever need, that might be an option.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
sorry
something
about that.
Augie can check out.
Okay.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking
Okay.
about, that's the
Yeah,
one.
now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
There'd be plenty of parking there,
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I don't know whether there's step, I don't know whether it's,
Well, I think
Yeah,
we're
with
still, yeah. I just
to
thought
go in the
that-
building, you have to go up bunches, I don't know.
I don't
I
think
think
Sure, they
so.
got a ramp,
I
maybe,
think it's all ground level.
so, okay. Be an option.
Good point, Dan.
Yeah.
Anything else, Augie?
Nope.
Carl?
No, I don't have anything.
Lisa?
And I attended the HRC 708 board quarterly meeting last week, and I think all is good there. He's lost a couple of providers, which I think maybe he had talked about. But he's got another intern that he thinks is going to step up and be a full-time employee. I think it's stable there for that environment. While I took my dog over to Rockville to the vet clinic, I asked my brother-in-law, who's one of the owners of multiple vets services now, including Clinton. I asked him if there was any possibility of doing spay and neuter over at Clinton, and he said they are looking to get another full-time vet in there this summer, and then we can go ahead and talk about that again. And what he was needing to know is the average census of dogs that would need that service at any given time.
Okay, I check with the Henry.
But,
It
you know,
depends on how many are adopted right now.
right, how you,
Yeah,
that might be a tough thing to
Right,
say, but he
right.
was just wanting some sort of a feel. So, he and I can get back together on that this
Okay.
summer if you want. But that would be more convenient than where she's having to go now,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Now, somebody asked me about the voucher system too, but he didn't qualify because he didn't meet the specifications that we put down, so. But, I don't know.
Have they used that?
I just
any-
want, I was gonna, I'll ask Andrew.
You know, I'm just curious whether anybody had
Yeah.
applied for.
This guy actually had, well, he's gonna apply, except he didn't meet our specifications.
What is it, what spec didn't they meet?
Pardon?
What spec?
Financial.
Financial.
Oh, is there a financial?
Oh, yeah.
You might ask and suggest to Andrea that if possible, that she or Linda, it'd be nice if they came to the next board meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Make sure that they know that they're always welcome,
Yeah.
but
I
it would be
think
nice
it's a
to
good
hear
idea.
from them. Or
Right.
if it's more convenient, come to study session.
Yeah.
Either way.
I'm sure she would if I asked her. I know she would.
Oh, I think, and I hang up and I
Well,
go,
it's kinda hard for me to go through everything that I need to ask her to be specific, which she could come to meeting and explain all that stuff.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'll ask her. Yeah.
that'd be great, thank
Okay,
you.
good, good.
Anything else? What? Is there something I should know?
I had a really nice breakfast with Jeff the other day.
Oh, Jesus.
I just want to share that with you.
Yeah, did you pay for it?
The
But we met at Chrisman. He said if you are needing to get your petition done, let's go to Chrisman because that's where most of your folks are. So we did. And I just appreciated that, and I appreciated just nice conversation
About
afterwards.
time we did something nice.
It was like Old Hope Week for you too. You met a lot of.
We
folks.
appreciate it when it comes up to,
I
Yeah,
know.
Main
Main
Street.
Two
Street, that's
classmates.
Yeah, it's not, we can't wait for her to leave.
There is something that you and I need to do is we need to get together and we need to let the board. We're gonna get together with department heads here soon, including the hospital, the health department,
Yeah.
to let them know about a possibility for a new, maintenance-free, system for emails and texts. And we've got it ironed down to how much per unit and all that stuff. But before we do anything, we need to make sure that the department heads and so forth have trust in it, okay? And it's got an archive system in it and everything else, and who is the company? It's, I wanna say, it's not
Amazon?
Microsoft, but.
Windows.
Amazon.
It's well, is it Amazon?
I just think
Okay.
it was Amazon.
Yeah. So at any rate, but we need to set up a meeting and get that going here in the next week or two. Okay, so we can, so if we get questions, we can get clarifications and so forth. Any comment, Augie?
Just let me know when you want a meeting.
No, I understand,
Yeah,
and
but no
we're gonna
other
have
than
to
that.
go through you to make sure that everybody knows that they need to get here. It might involve like the health department having to pay to be on the system, but it's not prohibited, okay? It's, I think, what is it, $5 or $6 per unit. So
And the good thing was, according to what Ross knows and understands about it, is he had commented to us that he spends a lot of time troubleshooting email issues. And this would resolve a fair amount of how he has to spend his time right now. Because the tech service is built into the product.
So, okay, so at any rate, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, and there should be, because we've had a fair amount of problems. And if we can come up with something that we can try, that everybody has some confidence, we need to make sure that if we need to reach back 8 years, that we've got, and we also need to make sure the new system accommodates our old system. In other words, we need to bring forward, either through the cloud or whatever, we don't want to lose what we already got. So, I mean, there's all kinds of questions that we need to resolve there. So, whenever, I mean, I'm pretty booked up, so you might know.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
The sooner
So
the
it's
better
through
for me.
Amazon?
Nah, that
I
doesn't
was
sound.
thinking it was through Amazon, because I think I had said, oh, good
It's a
Lord, that's a
tech-
little scary how they're controlling
Yeah,
it.
I don't think
think
it's-
so.
That doesn't sound right, but
Okay.
at any rate, we'll get to the.
Are there
bottom line.
any other, anybody else that has that service so we can see how they like it? Do you know
Yes,
that you're aware
he
of?
was gonna do that, I can't remember.
Yes, he was.
It's been a couple of weeks, but there
Okay.
was a couple of other counties that had that service,
Okay,
all right?
yeah, it'd be nice to find out how they like it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're not gonna, this isn't gonna be, just gonna do it,
Okay.
okay? That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, so that, if we go with it, we're all gonna agree to it, okay? Or if you don't, you know.
And what is the system?
It's to handle all of our emails,
Okay, email. Okay.
emails.
All right.
Yeah.
And then it also has the capability then that you guys could send out texts. Yeah.
Off your computer,
Mhm.
a text?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's worth a look, see. And it would cost us, roughly, what is it, $5 or $6 grand a year, something like that.
It was not a lot at all from what we had talked about with other options.
Yeah, so, okay. Ollie called me yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it was either that or Saturday. At any rate, the changes at the health department administration are not gonna take place till July 1st. They have taken care of the classification issues of administrators that they were unaware of, and that is in the treasurer's office, and that's taken care of. He just wanted to let me know, and they had to back some things out and make some changes so that they were following the law. So, we're all good. Let's see.
Could I ask a question about health
Absolutely.
department?
Yes.
Have any more discussion about the replacement for Cindy on it? So we had one vacancy, maybe two.
I didn't even bring it up.
Okay, that's what
I didn't bring it up,
I remember you mentioned a name one time. so-
well, yeah, we've got several people that would like to be on the board.
Okay.
And I think we'll just, I was in the middle of traveling, and that wasn't the time I listened to him, and wasn't the time to bring up an
I just
issue like
wondered.
that.
It's no big deal, so. I'm the one.
did you get any phone?
All right, let's see.
So, we've got one vacancy and maybe there's gonna be a
Maybe two.
second.
All right, possibility.
And we've got several people that are interested in
I
getting
know
on there.
one, you know one or two, so,
Right.
yeah,
So, at some point, we need to have a discussion about this.
Yes,
that's,
I
We're not
think,
gonna do anything this next month, are we?
otherwise I would be
Right,
prepared to talk to you about it.
okay.
But I have gotten no recommendation from the health department. The health department is still trying to come up with a mental health person, to have somebody like that on the board, which I think is appropriate. And then maybe we need to get somebody who's familiar with the plumbing industry, maybe on the issue in there, okay? So that's what we're thinking,
Okay.
all right? Budget-wise, we're doing well. Don is just about done. We've got about $70,000 worth of income to adjust, which puts us at 1.2 million, which I've talked to you about before, okay? And hopefully by the meeting, I'll have more information about that and some literature, and then I'm trying to think if there was anything else. No, I don't think, do you guys, am I forgetting something? Okay, anything else to come before the meeting this morning? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Andy moves. Dan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.